Don't skip the video for this text to read mechanical method. Please stay and experience a well-composed video being a student of English literature. In this discourse we cover the most important topics. 1. Definition and origin of drama. 2. Definition of tragedy. 3. Tragic hero and Aristotle's definition of a tragic hero. 4. Shakespeare's tragic heroes. 5. Macbeth as a Shakespearean tragic hero. Definition and origin of drama. The word drama comes from the Greek meaning to act, do, or perform, and it is in the several subtle and diverse meanings of to perform that drama can be said to have begun. In simple words, a drama is a composition in verse or prose presenting a story in pantomime or dialogue. It contains conflict of characters, particularly the ones who perform in front of audience on the stage. The person who writes drama for stage directions is known as a dramatist or playwright. Western drama originates in classical Greece. The theatrical culture of the city-state of Athens produced three genres of drama: tragedy, comedy, and the satyr play. Their origins remain obscure, though by the 5th century BC they were institutionalized in competitions held as part of festivities celebrating the god. Only a small fraction of the work of 5 dramatists, however, has survived to this day. We have a small number of complete texts by the tragedians Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides, and the comic writers Aristophanes and, from the late 4th century, Menander. Definition of tragedy. A drama in which a character, usually a good and noble person of high rank, is brought to a disastrous end in his or her confrontation with a superior force. Fortune, the gods, social forces, universal values. But also comes to understand the meaning of his or her deeds and to accept an appropriate punishment. Tragic hero. The tragic hero is a man of noble birth and stature. High position usually means a king, duke, prince, company owner, etc. He is not an ordinary man, but a man with quality and greatness about. He is good but not too good so the audience can identify with him. Acts nobly or honorably. Makes choices that lead to a situation from which there is no escape. Has a tragic flaw that leads to his destruction. Aristotle's definition of a tragic hero. 1. Comes from nobility, high position such as a king or outstanding person. 2. Tragic flaw, caused by a simple mistake or a character flaw, a virtue carried to the extreme, maybe pride or jealousy. 3. Undergoes a reversal of fortune, falls from high to low. Happiness to misery. 4. Has a downfall, misfortunes. 5. Recognizes his mistakes, in a catharsis, cleansing of emotions or purgation of pity and fear. The tragic flaw. The flaw in the character is a defect which keeps him or her from being aware of the situation around him or her. The character does not understand, for much of the story, his or her part of creating the situation. Examples of flaws. 1. Greed. 2. Obsession with one thing. 3. Mistrust. 4. Uncertainty. 5. Lack of patience. 6. Easily influenced. 7. Hesitation. 8. Selfishness. 9. Ambition. And 10. Lust for power. The hero's understanding. Aristotle, a man cannot become a hero until he can see the root of his own downfall. The tragic hero has a moment of enlightenment near the end of the story. he or she finally understands what he or she has done wrong, how he or she contributed to the tragic situation. The story often ends with the death of the tragic hero. His death usually is not a pure loss, because it results in greater knowledge and awareness. Additional characteristics. The character is responsible for his own downfall because of the choices. The punishment seems to exceed the crime, which is a waste of potential. The character does not want to get ahead, but does want to die honorably. The character goes beyond the call of duty and takes responsibility for others. Shakespeare's tragic heroes. Aristotle wrote down these characteristics of a tragic hero for classical Greek tragedy plays. However, Shakespeare plays are often noted for their excellent portrayals of tragic heroes. Macbeth is Shakespeare's tragic hero. An example character who, of a principle, is regarded as a Macbeth's fatal flaw, as seen by Aristotle, would be his lust for power, ambition. Macbeth. Unlike classical tragic heroes, however, Macbeth is well aware of his fatal flaw from the beginning. He constantly questions himself on why he continues to delay the fulfillment of his desires. This is slightly different from the Aristotelian classical tragedies such as Oedipus Rex, where the hero is not aware of his flaw until the very end. Shakespeare's quirks. Shakespeare often represents abnormal conditions of mind, insanity, somnambulism, hallucinations, like, perhaps, Macbeth. Shakespeare also introduces the supernatural, ghosts, witches, etc., who have supernatural knowledge. Shakespeare, in most of the tragedies, allows chance in some form to influence some of the action. Macbeth can be seen as embodying the characteristics of an ideal tragic hero. He is neither a perfect nor an innately evil character whose hamartia or error causes his degeneration. Yet it cannot be denied that he consciously embraces the path of evil. The influence of external agents like Lady Macbeth's instigation and the prophecy of the witches could have been easily ignored by Macbeth. A.C. Bradley opines that Macbeth was free to accept or resist the temptation, but the temptation was already within him. John Harvey in this context says, Macbeth is a free agent, he must choose of his own free will to do evil. Therefore the influences of the witches and Lady Macbeth can be interpreted as the outward manifestations of the evil desires inherent in the hero, and those desires only rise into consciousness under these influences. Thus Macbeth becomes a tragic hero who deliberately renounces the path of good for fulfilling his evil ambitions. Aristotle had regarded the thoroughly depraved evil character as being unworthy of becoming a tragic hero, saying that such a character fails to evoke pity and fear among the audience. Macbeth's character is somewhat of a deviation from this concept, and it is here that Shakespeare adds a different dimension to his tragic hero.